This is a sample Python project that teaches you how to create the most simple application in Python, a console application. This video is one of a series that will run you through how to create your project folder using command prompt, how to create your project file, how to write the code, how to execute your Python script. So we will begin by starting command prompt. And then we will have to navigate into our project folder. All right, now this is the general project folder called cohort 2. I will need to create another project folder for my particular project. And the project is going to be about a console application that converts weight in grams to weight in kilograms. So I have to name my project folder something that is close to what the project is about. So I could have something like this: grams to kilo. All right, if we take a look at the directory, we will find that we now have another directory called grams to kilo. So this is where I'm going to create my project file. But first, I have to navigate into the grams to kilo directory with the command cd, then the name of the directory, grams to kilo. And now you can see that the path has changed. I am now in my grams to kilo directory. So this is where I am going to create my Python file. So we have been able to create a Python file which is called grams underscore to underscore kilo dot py. We have been able to create the file using command prompt. And what remains is for us to write our code. At this juncture, at this point, it's very important that we come to terms with one of the very crucial steps that are taken when applications are developed. You have to plan your application. You have to plan your application. So we will be drafting a plan for this application so that when you embark on your own very small application design, you can also follow this process. So in planning your application, there are several things that you have to do. First, you have to define the problem that your application is going to solve. Every application solves a problem. Every application helps the user to deal with a problem. So that's the first thing. Now, the next thing is you also need to define or determine the functional requirements of your application. And what this means is, what will your application do? What exactly will your application do? And number three, you have to be able to provide a description of your application. And what that means is you need to be able to explain to people, or people need to be able to read about your application to know what the application is going to do and how it's going to work. And another aspect is you need to be able to identify risks and problems that your application may face, the challenges, and possibly how to deal with these challenges. And lastly, here, you have to choose programming tools that you will use, programming tools and techniques that you are going to use to develop this application. And what that means is you have to decide what uh, structures, what kinds of data, what kinds of control structures you will use in your programming language to create your application and make things work. So we are going to run through this one after the other. Now, why we're doing this is so that you can also follow this example. When you start to create your own application, you can follow these steps and then it can make things very easy for you. So we're going to be using what we call strings, a multi-line string to provide these bits of information. So the very first thing we have is define the problem. We're going to define the problem that this application is going to help us solve. So we could just simply type problem. It is to convert the problem that the application is going to help us solve is to convert weight in grams to weight in kilograms. So that's the problem this application is going to help us solve. And that's the first part. Now, the next part is we need to be able to talk about what the application is required to actually do. And that's the next step. So, what will be the application's functions? What will be the application's functions? There are going to be three functions for this application we want to design. The first is going to be it's going to take weight in grams as user input. It's going to convert this weight from grams to kilograms, and then it's going to display the results to the users. So these are the three basic functionalities that our application will have. Here we are going to specify the requirements, the functional requirements of this application. Say requirements, brackets, we can place this functional, and then we can do this indent, say A. The first functional requirement is that this application is going to take weight in grams as user input. We'll get to explain what this really means to take weight in grams as user input. This means that the application is going to be interactive. It's going to allow someone to use it, and that means it's going to allow someone to provide the weight in grams. It's not going to provide the weight in grams by itself. The second functional requirement is that once it takes the weight in grams from a user, it's now going to convert the weight in grams to weight in kilograms. And now the third functional requirement is that after the conversion has taken place, this application is going to display the results. Display results to the user. All right, so these are the requirements. First, we have the problem that the application is going to solve. Second, we have the requirements. And thirdly, we have uh, we have what we call the concept of the application. What concept, is the application based on? And this is where we provide a description of the application, what the application really does. So, develop concept for the application. So we can actually come down here to talk about what the application is going to do. So this is going to be the description of my application. The application will be a simple console based tool that uses formula to convert grams to kilograms. All right, uses a simple formula to convert grams to kilograms. And I'll just include this so we can have 1 kilogram is equal to 1,000 grams. So this is the description of the application. We could add one more thing. The application will prompt the user will prompt the user to enter a weight in grams, perform the conversion, and display the results. And display the results. So this is the description of the program, and then we are ready to go to the next step. We're ready to go to the next step. The next step is we can identify risks and problems that this application may face, the challenges this application may face, and then possibly how to deal with these challenges. So let's have risks slash problems, and then all right. So right now we are talking about the risks slash problems that this application could run into. It's like a very mini calculator, and we know what calculators do. Calculators take numeric input, and these numeric inputs are taken by the calculator, and arithmetic processes are carried on these inputs. Now, what if a person enters the letter C in a calculator? How do you think the calculator will be able to handle that? Now, that can cause problems if the application is not well designed. So, this is one of the risks that we can look at. Identify risks and problems. So, the risk is handling invalid input. Invalid input. C, typing in C in a calculator is not going to be regarded as a valid input because C is not a number. So it will be regarded as non-numeric values. Okay, good. So this is one step. Then the last step we will talk about here is choosing programming tools and techniques. Choosing programming tools and techniques. All right, I'm just going to make a long list here. It's going to be a list of tools and techniques in the Python programming language that we're going to use. One, we're going to use functions. Probably we're just going to use a function. We are going to use variables. Variables are going to hold our values. Functions, variables. We will use the float function. We will use a while loop. We are going to use an if statement. We will use the break statement. We will use a try except block. We will use print statement. We will use a bool. We will use the input function that's going to help us ask the user to type in something, and then we are going to use operators to make things work. So these are the tools we will use in writing our program. When we start writing the program, you get to understand how these are tools that we can use to write our programs. So we are about ready to go. And of course, it's very important. Like I said, when you design an application, before you start designing an application, you need to plan you need to plan for your application. And these are some of the things you do when you plan for an application. First, you define the problem that that application is going to solve. And then you need to talk about the requirements, determine the requirements of the application. And what this means is how will the application go about solving this problem. As we can see here, this application is going to take weight in grams as user input. It's going to convert this weight in grams to weight in kilograms. And then after doing that, it's going to display the result to the user. And after that, you should be able to provide a description of your application so that when the user wants to use it, The user understands what the application is meant for, and then the user does not abuse the application. And then also you need to think about the risks and the problems that you could face as you design the application. When the users use the application, what are the possible problems that users could run into, or the application could run into? And one of them we have here is invalid input. Someone could decide to type for any reason best known to that individual. Someone may decide to type the letter C and say C plus 5. So if that were to happen to your application, how would your application handle that problem? And lastly, choosing programming tools and techniques. You need to choose the programming tools and techniques that will help you to design your application. Now we are ready to go and write the code for our application. All right, now it's time to write our code. Just a note to us, if you're not very familiar with writing Python code, you don't really need to worry about the meaning of all we're doing. You don't have to worry yourself so much. Just concentrate on making sure that you write the code the way you see the code written here. In the class, we will talk more about what these different parts of the code mean. We have referred to them as tools in Python and techniques that will help us write our program. So just concentrate on how the code is written and make sure that you do not make mistakes. So the first thing we're going to do is define a function, def gram underscore 2 underscore kilogram. So that's the name of the function. We need to be very careful with the way we spell. Okay, good. Right. Def gram underscore 2 kilogram, rounded brackets, colon sign, and then we press enter. If your text editor does not indent automatically for you, please make sure you indent using the tab key or using the space bar to indent. And then we're going to use the print statement here to be able to output a bit of information about this application. Gram to kilogram, gram to kilogram converter. Okay, then let's have this just to make the application look, somehow good. And let's also have this to create a bit of space. All right. Okay, now we use a while loop to keep the application running. While true, we use a try block first. We define the weight underscore gram variable, weight underscore grams. We use the flow function to convert our input into floats. Now, like I said, you don't need to worry too much what these things mean, because this is just a test application that helps you to practice writing code. Enter weight in grams or type -1 to quit. So this is what we're going to have for now. If weight underscore, okay, I have a wrong spelling here. If weight underscore grams equals -1, break. If weight underscore grams equals -1, break. Okay, I need to correct something here. All right, if weight equals -1, break. Weight underscore kilograms equals weight underscore grams divided by 1000. That's the formula for converting grams to kilograms. Okay, so weight underscore kilograms, we define another variable that is where the kilograms value will be stored. That value is going to be returned when we divide weight underscore grams by 1000. All right, go to the next line. We are going to use a print statement to output the value we get. And this is a formatted, uh, it's a formatted string. Not to worry so much what that means. These are things that we will talk about much later. My spelling is wrong. Weight underscore grams, grams is equal to, please do not be so worried, weight underscore kilograms, kilograms. I know you're going to have lots of questions to ask, but what I'm just going to keep repeating is make sure you type the code exactly as you see it typed here so that you don't run into problems. Back, and also make sure your indentation is correct. Except value error, print invalid input. Please type a numeric value. All right, then we are done with the code. Very short. Here we invoke the function, which is called gram underscore 2 underscore kilograms. Okay, good. So here we invoke the function. All right, we're done with our code, and it remains for us to test. So to run the Python script, we return to command prompt and use the simple command Python. Python is the application that is going to run the script we have written. We've written a Python script. We can run the Python script using the Python application itself. So that's why we say Python. And then the name of our script. The name of our script is grams underscore 2 underscore kilo. So it's going to be grams underscore 2 underscore kilo dot pi. And then we hit the enter key, and then the application is running. It says gram to kilogram converter. Enter weight in grams or type -1 to quit. So let's enter weight in grams. Let's say we enter 2000 grams and we hit enter. It says 2000 grams is equal to 2 kilograms. Enter weight in grams or type -1 to quit. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to type -1 to see what happens. We press enter. The program stops running. The program stops running. Now, one more thing we need to try is what if we enter a value like C or A or B? These values are letters and are non-numeric values. So let's enter the letter J and press enter. It says invalid input. Please type a numeric value. And the program is still running, and that is why you see enter weight in grams or type -1 to quit. So the program is going to keep running until you decide that you no more want to use the programming. That's when we have to type -1, hit the enter key, and then the program stops. All right, that's it for this test project. It's a test project that you can carry out on your own. Just, help you practice writing Python code. It's likely going to form an object of study for you. You could look at the code, try to observe a few things, generate questions. Some of the things you find in the code, are going to make you want to ask questions. You want to understand why certain things have been done. You want to understand what def means, what while means, what try means, what except means, what value error means. You're going to have so many questions to ask, and definitely you will get answers. So this code is meant for you to try out to see how what it is, what it means to write a program that creates an application that runs in the console. This is a console application, so try this out, make sure it works, and then you're familiar with lots of things. Later, we will talk about why we have line 30 to 32 indented, 34 as well indented, and why we have line 35, you know, having an extra indentation, and why we have line 36 having another extra indentation, and why we have indentation at all. So these are some of the things we will talk about, and then you get to understand. So make sure you try this out and make sure it works. Thank you.